Welcome everybody. In this video I'm trying to fight a ongoing negative sentiment narrative about NIO, and I'm trying to make it as concrete and short as possible in order to provide value for you. So I appreciate if you could like and share this video so it gets in front of more NIO investors, because I think actually this is even an opportunity for NIO as a company to communicate better, because there's actually tremendous value in there, and especially from an investor's point of view if you have the right mindset. So what am I talking about? Here I have my Patreon community open. Yesterday we've discussed this interesting example here. So Tesla and BMW are profitable and NIO is burning so much cash, it's not profitable. That's why it's not getting any attention by Wall Street, and it's actually a quite hated stock, detached from some of the fundamentals, in my opinion. As always, this is my opinion, it's not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence, but now I want to give you my opinion how to think about that. So what is Mehdi referring to here is actually a tweet I made on X. So this was about a Bloomberg story which highlighted a big need in China, so a big unsolved problem, which is that China rapidly expands its battery fleet, so lots of EVs out there, and also energy storage solutions are being installed, but needs to start using it. Average storage system operates just once every other day. Electricity market lacks incentives to fully utilize capacity. So there's a big business opportunity and a big problem out there. That's perfect for a startup to solve. And that should also catch the attention of investors, right? So I made this kind of sarcastic post out there. So sometimes if you read my post, you need to think about how I mean it. And in this case, I also said, like, if only China had a widespread infrastructure of battery storage systems that could also cater the use cases on top of balancing the grid. And in my follow-up, I basically posted here the NIO power map, which obviously shows a huge deployment of battery energy storage systems, which are battery swap stations. They can be used to balance the grid, and they can be used for replenishing power of cars. So, to me, even though I may have not articulated it that well in the Twitter post, but to me it's very, very obvious that NIO is making the right R&D investments here, because this problem needs to be solved on a country level, but maybe even on a global level, and NIO has a clear solution to that and is doing that. What do we get instead? We get this fake narrative out there that NIO is only about burning cash. NIO shouldn't do as many complicated different offerings and solutions, and it's actually why people shouldn't invest in NIO, because all of this R&D spend and the build out of battery swapping systems is a huge burden on NIO. While I think the contrary is the case, and that's also why I'm putting this remark here, but at what cost, is I'm basically playing with this, in my opinion, strange narrative that people should see this as an opportunity, as the right move at somewhere, instead of what we usually get as media takes. So this is but at what cost is kind of a meme here that we see sometimes, usually related to positive developments in China. For example, here the build out of wind and solar energy in China. I made this comment here, but at what cost? That's usually what the Western media is asking about any types of progress and development in China. We had it here about the COVID situation in the past, but it's going everywhere in each of the different sectors, like green transition, at what cost? The Business of France 24 section here asked about China's economy looks to be stabilizing, but at what cost? China is getting smarter, but at what cost? So always actually something really good and should be supported as a development in China, but we get the question marks. And the same thing, I think, happens with NIO here, that people are starting to question something that is actually good development and should be also aligned with investors. So we should obviously really mention also what it takes to invest, and that this is definitely hurting some of the financials that especially Wall Street is looking at. So some of the KPIs like profitability, the cash balance, and so on. That's definitely the case. However, investors should be able to look beyond that and see where's the opportunity here in terms of the business model and how big is this problem, which sounds to me almost as $1 trillion market that NIO is potentially solving here, and that no other company is solving in this scale and the way they are solving it. So instead of always being hit by this unprofitable and a cash burn narrative here, we should really think about that and think critically around that and see rather as an investor the potential revenue streams for that and how big of a problem that's solving and how big of a moat this is creating, meaning that other competitors can actually not do the same thing over time. And I would argue NIO is now so much down the line here with this huge map of battery energy storage systems out there that they really have a lead in this regard. And so in my opinion, NIO could actually communicate a little bit better around this. And I see some takes sometimes in the earnings. So the last couple of earnings calls have been a bit more progressive on the profitability of battery swap stations, but I haven't seen as much communication yet on the prospects of making this part of the NIO business, and also how well the pilots are going, for example, that they're already doing about grid balancing in China. There are obviously a couple of hurdles to overcome, like there needs to be a better trading mechanism for arbitrage trading and energy cost in China. So this is still developing. And we may have maybe a better opportunity currently in Europe. And NIO is all active in these areas and doing that, but most people don't know about that. And so while NIO has, I think, made great advancements in the last couple of sessions with their NIO Innovation Day, with earnings calls and so on, and with stuff like having also this NIO Power map that is live and shows how many swaps they're doing. They also have a different map where they're showing how many miles they've collected for autonomous driving. I think they could go one step further and show a little bit more of the worth of this battery swapping network and how their pilots are going and how they are monetizing that in the future. So that could help also Wall Street to understand it. I know most of these revenues and hopefully profits are still far out in the future, and it takes macroeconomic improvements in order that we have, let's say, lower interest rates, for example, that are going into the discounted cash flow models, and therefore, really impacting of how much out investors are looking for the future revenues and profits. However, making it also more clear how big this opportunity is as a total addressable market and how NIO is positioned to capture that, I think would be one way for improving investor relations and hopefully, starting to turn around this whole narrative that was established by maybe other companies, competitors, by YouTubers, by social media accounts about how NIO is only being stupid for investing all of these R&Ds. I think we will see all of the outcomes at some point in time, and the question is whether or not this is a successful strategy. We can argue about that and how high the probabilities are that NIO can actually capture that market in the future. In my point of view, they have a pretty good likelihood for that. However, that's my personal opinion. Now I'm looking forward to your comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.